Hello, welcome back. This is video 2 of Infinite Method, Strengthening You. So today we're going to work with the scoop that we learned in video 1. So we're going to go back to our neutral spine. Remember that small space, neutral spine. And we worked with all the different scoops. So let's work with that circle. So you're pushing the left hip down, pubic bone over to the right hip, scooping back up. So the pelvic bowl circles, 12 o'clock scoop. Now we're going to reverse that circle. Inhale, exhaling up. Good. All right, so we're back here. And we're going to work on lower abs using the transverse abdominis, keeping our neutral spine so that we don't use momentum and cheat. So we're going to start with the right knee up. You're going to inhale. On the exhale, you're going to suck the belly button in and up. Extend the leg away, keeping that neutral spine, and inhaling back. Tuck the belly, exhale away. Inhale. So you're keeping that neutral spine. Be careful the back doesn't drop when the knee comes in. 2 more. Exhaling away, so your arms are backing down. And 1 more. Good. Place that foot down. Extend the left knee up. So find that neutral spine with the knee up. Got that little space. You're going to inhale, exhale, extend away, inhale back. If you really have back issues, you're recovering from something, you might not be able to extend your leg all the way. So you go as far as you can support that. But when you feel the pelvis start to dip like that, then you went too far. So that's when you know where you need to be with it. Good. And we'll do 1 more. Reaching long. Good. And placing that foot down. All right, now we're going to bring both knees up. And this is going to be a little harder. So you're going to tap the toe, bring it up, tap the toe, bring it up. So you're creating some momentum away, and you're having to keep that spine neutral. So if you feel it dipping, scoop it back. But you don't want to go so far that you have a scooped back like that. So it's that neutral spine, learning how to work with that curve and not having to place down the back in order to grab the muscles. And 1 more. Good. Feet down, sway the knees side to side. So the ultimate goal is to use your lower abs to support your pelvis instead of pushing your back to the floor to protect your pelvis and creating a scoop that you don't want, which we were all taught. So now we're going to try both legs. So with both legs, it's a lot harder, and sometimes you'll only go like a ½ an inch away, which is fine. So you're keeping that neutral spine. You're going to inhale, exhale, tuck the belly in and up, extend the legs, and as soon as this feels like it's dipping, you bring it back. Another indicator of going too far is the shoulders rounding like this and the head lifting to try to accommodate for that. So there should be none of that going on. It should just be an inhale in, exhale, tuck the belly, keep that neutral spine, going back. Good. Tuck the belly, in and up, inhale into the rib cage. All this inhaling and tucking the belly I taught in the last video, so if you didn't see that one, go back and do it. It's only 10 minutes, but it's very important. We'll do 2 more. So as you get stronger, your legs go further and further away. If you feel like you're starting to get there, you can always go higher, and that will be easier too if you want to get a little more leg straightening. Good. And then we're going to place that down and sway from side to side. So this is the same type of thing if you start adding your upper body. So if we were to put our hands behind our head and bring our knees up and get ready to do a bicycle kick, which we call crisscross in Pilates. You're extending that leg away and crunching, but you're still keeping that neutral spine. So it's a little different. And usually when you have your neutral spine and you're not used to it, your crunch is not as high as it normally would be if you were in the scoop. So remember, with crisscross, you're lifting from your oblique. You're lifting from your oblique. So most people have learned how to do bicycle or oblique crunches with their shoulder and their elbow like this. So that's really a shoulder and elbow stretch, or if anything, it'll irritate something. So that's why you want to bring up the body with the oblique. Good. Place the feet down, sway from side to side. So if your back gets tender from keeping the neutral spine because you don't have it and you're kind of far away from obtaining it, then keep bending your knees up and hugging your knees up to your chest to relieve the tension there, and that will help. Okay, so now we're going to learn the pelvis scooping towards you and how to do that with the exercises that require that. So what I see a lot is in a general scoop up, for example, that most people drive the motion from their legs like this. So unfortunately, that's not going to get your core stronger, which is what we're trying to do, so we can not have the back pain and we can have a proper spine that doesn't collapse on itself as we get older. So a sustainable way to do it is to use your scoop that I taught you. So you'll start with your neutral spine. If you have tight hamstrings, you'll have to bend your knees to accommodate. You should not be shaking and cramping in your flexors to keep your legs up. So even if they need to be bent all the way, that is okay. You'll still get the same core amount. You'll just get less hamstring stretching. So you're going to inhale, and on the exhale, don't think of your legs doing anything. They're just hanging out. You're going to scoop your pelvis towards you, just like we did when our feet were down and you were doing the 12 o'clock scoop. So you'll go as high as you can, and then you'll come back to neutral. So if you are pretty strong and your arms are next to you, then it'll look like a scoop, and then it'll be a lift. But do you notice how there's no fling? So a fling would look like a scoop and then a fling, right? So that's not what we want to do. So if you stay true to the scoop and your own strength and flexibility with the fluid, then you'll actually get stronger and more flexible, and over time you'll just start getting higher and higher, one vertebrae at a time. So you're scooping. So an indicator of you not being ready to go too high is if your shoulders start rising up like that. So they should be able to support it down, and then you'll lift up. So inhale, exhale, scooping with the lower abs, and up, and scoop, and lift. So when you do it correctly like this, you feel it right away, and you don't need to do as many. So tuck the belly in and up before you do the scoop so that you have those transverse abdominis muscles to use. And we'll do one more. Good. Bending the legs, arms out to the side, sway your knees from side to side. So you can always do less, you can always do more. These are really good exercises put together, and I'll do a whole workout routine with all the core exercises in the later videos once we get our form and the correct use down of our muscles. All right, so that scoop is super important, and one of the exercises I love the most is putting your hands behind your head and being up at a crunch and your knees up. So you crunch up as you scoop at the same time, and then you release it just a little bit, and then you come right back up again. So notice that I'm not flicking my knees like that. I'm scooping my pelvis toward me, and then I'm going back to a neutral spine. Scoop, back, scoop, back. So keep it fast. So you should burn right away. Nice open elbows, so you don't use the momentum of the elbows to help you too much. 2 more. And relax. Nice. And sway. So that should be really deep, and you should really feel that in your core. So if you don't feel it in your core, then you were cheating with your legs somehow. So it really takes time. So if you feel like you just couldn't do it with the legs up or the legs going away, then restart with the scoop here and really master grabbing those muscles and scooping towards you so that you can really keep that going. All right, so now we're going to work with the 9 o'clock and the 6 o'clock that we learned last time. So that was the pushing down of the hip from side to side. It's a very small movement. So where that really plays in is with your circles of your legs. So I'm going to have you extend your right leg and lift your left knee up. Your arms will be next to you. So you want your right foot to be facing to the ceiling or the sky and flex it. So it's strong and straight and it's in line with your hips. So we're going to keep the leg bent to start with, and over time it'll be straight, but for right now we're focusing on the hips and not the leg. So leg circles is the leg going away from you and then circling and coming back. So when you go away, the hip wants to come up like that and follow it. So what you're going to do is you're going to use that 3 o'clock on that right hip and pull it down as the leg drops away so that it doesn't move at all, and then you'll circle around. So for some of you, the knee will barely go away from your body, and for others, you can go pretty far depending on where you're at. So you'll exhale away, pulling, using your transverse abdominis, that hip down, and then inhaling over and up. So tuck the belly in and up as you're circling away, pushing that hip down, and then circle in and up. So you'll do about 6 or so, or 8, and then you'll reverse your circle. So once you go the other way, you'll inhale over your body, exhale, circling away and up. So this leg will tend to drop out to get out of the stretch, so you got to keep remembering to keep that guy straight to the ceiling. And your shoulders are back and down. Inhale, exhale away and up, pulling that hip, sucking that belly in and up. Keep the ribs down. Keep the shoulder down. Good. And one more. Nice. All right. Shake that out a little bit, and then we'll do the other leg. So left leg faces the ceiling. Inhale. As you exhale, circle away. Pull the left hip to the mat. Inhale around. Exhale, circling away. Remember, don't let your left hip follow you up. It stays pushed down. Push that thigh down. Good. And one more. Exhale and inhale over and up. Nice. Now circling the other way, exhaling away, inhale over and up. Good. So leg circles is actually one of the hardest exercises, especially when you have your legs straight, because our legs and our hips get so tied up together that it's really hard to separate the legs from each other. So that's a bonus of doing these exercises. You'll have a lot less hip and leg issues and foot issues. Good job. All right. So go ahead and bend the legs up and sway the knees from side to side. So now I'm going to teach you, we're going to sit up now. And I'm going to teach you the other importance of the hips and the 3 o'clock and the 9 o'clock. So I'm going to face a little sideways so you can see. So you want to try to have flexed feet, and you want to bend your knees a little bit so you can have a straight back. So remember when we were on our backs and we were doing the 12 o'clock and the 6 o'clock, where you push, the 6 o'clock is where you push your pubic bone down to create that arch in your back. So that's what you do to get your back straight when you're sitting up. So that's the 6 o'clock tilt. So the 12 o'clock scoop looks like this when you're up. You're scooping your pelvis back, and then the 6 o'clock is this. So over time, sitting straight with a neutral spine would look like this. And I'm hoping to get you flexible enough and strong enough in the core, both the front and the back, that you can sit at a restaurant, in a picnic, comfortably with a nice open spine and not be in back pain. So you don't have to sit, like this with your back like this all the time, which is just creating more and more of the issue. That's the problem. So that's our goal, is to enable you to get up to here comfortably. All right, so Now we're going to work with the side to side. So you're in your neutral spine and your arms are out to the side. So you're going to pretend like you're holding onto a stick. So that means they stay in one linear line like that. So we're going to lift our rib up off of our pelvis to create some space. And then we're going to rotate to the left. The whole upper body stays together. And then at a certain point, all of a sudden this right hip wants to follow you, but you're not going to let that happen. You're going to use that 3 o'clock muscle to pull back. And you're going to do a little 1-2, and then you'll bring it back. So you'll lift. Now we're going to go to the right. Try not to fall back. You might not go very far at all. As soon as this left foot wants to follow you and the hip over, do a little 1-2. So you'll know if the hip popped if all of a sudden your foot is longer. So that's what you're trying to avoid, is this thing. So you're locking this down and it's not moving, just your upper body. So you should feel it right in the mid-back. So you'll lift, exhale, rotate, follow your hand with your head, bringing it back, up. So make sure you're bending your knees if you need to for that straight spine. If you have tight hamstrings, you can do it like this. You still make sure you're pulling the hip back and the knee's not turning over. And we'll do one more. Good. So go ahead and butterfly your legs out, and that one's really tough. So when you're first getting started, it kind of feels impossible. But if you even keep with this program once a week, and especially if you did twice a week, then your range of motion will increase so quickly, you will be amazed. So that's where that side to side plays in. And that was that 6 o'clock here that we did to create a straight spine when we were sitting up. So I want to show you that 6 o'clock here on the mat, because it's important to do, because the 6 o'clock scoop is something you don't want to do. So I want to make sure that's clear when you're doing lower abs. When your legs go away, you do not want to go into 6 o'clock. Okay, so it stays neutral. And I just want to make sure that that's very clear, because that cannot happen. All right, so I want to now teach you about the upper body a little bit, and where that needs to be with all of our work that we're going to do. So shoulders pulled back to the mat. So be careful of over popping. You don't want it crazy, but just a light shoulder back, and then pull your arms long at your side. So that's really important for a foundation. As you can see, as the legs go away, the core can only do so much, and this whole back is part of that core. You kind of want to think of it as a box. So grabbing those back muscles and pulling them back and pulling your arms long are really key to the whole foundation of the body. All right, so we're going to work with that now, flipping over to our stomachs. So when we go to our tummies, when we're going to do any kind of back extension, which is lifting up off of the mat, you want to make sure the muscles are ready, and so your lower back and mid back is not pulling up a dead weight and an improper spine. So a proper spine is shoulders back and arms pulled long, and the head long and neutral. So before you lift, you grab all those muscles, and then you do an extension. So all the extension work that I'll teach you in exercises, this is the foundation before you begin. What it tends to happen is you tend to want to lead with the neck. And as soon as you arch your neck up like this, when you're on your tummy like this, you're locking up your lower back. So think of that neck growing long and pulling away and keeping neutral when you extend. So it looks like that. So you'll exhale, grab everything, and reach, pulling long and down. So you want to try to avoid this kind of a thing where all of a sudden your shoulders came up, right? So keep them pulling to your feet at all times. The next thing is to make sure you're pushing that pubic bone and both your hip bones down into the mat when you do any type of extension. That protects the whole lower back. If you have lower back issues, sometimes you just, this is what it's going to be for a while, because it just can't handle the lift in the mid back. But if you start here, it will increase over time, and slowly you'll get higher and higher. So we're going to release that, and we're going to learn now the lower extension of lifting the leg. So a leg extension is the leg lifting up off the mat. So most of us, our brain just tends to think of lifting the leg from the foot. And what happens when you lift the leg from the foot is it bends at the knee and it turns into this with a floppy knee. And we don't want that. And we're not going to get the results by doing that. It creates momentum and it cheats for the glute. And we all want our glutes as strong as possible. So this is how you make sure you do it. You think of the glute lifting the muscle. You push your pubic bone and your hip bones down into the mat before you begin. Tuck that belly in and up and lift from the glute. The leg stays very straight and you try to get the thigh off the mat. When you're first starting, it's about this high. It barely lifts, but you should feel the whole glute and hamstring grabbing to do it, which is great. So the head stays neutral. You'll exhale, extending up. Inhale down. Now you also want to think about pulling the leg long and away. So pretend like you're reaching away to the wall behind you with the foot and the hip. As you exhale up, you'll reach. So now we'll alternate sides. So you'll exhale, tuck the belly in and up, reach the leg long, squeezing the glute, inhaling down, alternate, exhale, tuck the belly, reach and pull, and relax. Good, so we'll do a couple more. Keep that leg pulled long and away, squeeze the glute, push those pubic bone and hip bones down, and one more each side, reach, and reach. Shake it out, and we're going to slowly stretch back into child's pose. So knees apart, drop down into the back, and stretching. Nice. All right, so we're going to end with that today because that always takes a little longer than you think. But we created a really great foundation for the future of what we're going to do. So my next video, we're going to start putting this all together and doing some more of this core work, and then we're going to start bringing in the free weights so we can start doing more of my infinite method, which is really a blend of the Pilates, the ballet, the free weights, and all of that great stuff. And over time I'm also going to be doing a TRX strap and using a BOSU ball. So if you don't know about those things, I will do an intro to TRX to get you started, and you can look that up online, TRX suspension trainer, to kind of get an idea what that is. You don't need to have an anchor set up. You can do it on a door, so that's something that can be an option in the future. So I hope this helps you. Please remember to like the video and please subscribe to my channel so that you can build and we can hopefully take this to the next level. The results that people get usually after 3 months, you really start seeing change, and you'll see change before that, but that's the key mark to real change happening. And if you stay consistent at the 1 year mark, you will have a completely different life. Your lifestyle changes will be huge regardless of where you're at. So please continue and subscribe to my channel, and thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.